It's time for Milberger's Gardening South Texas, live from Milberger's Landscaping and Nursery at 1604 in Bulverde Road. During the next 2 hours, our experts will help you with your gardening questions when you call 210-308-8867. That's 210-308-8867. Or come by Milberger's during the show and have your question answered in person. And now it's time for Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 930 a.m. The Answer.
Welcome everybody to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 930 a.m. The Answer. Pre-recording today, we have some electrical maintenance going on at the station again. I've been told this should be the last one, so we shouldn't have to be pre-recording in the near future. Fingers crossed. Alex Escobar here with Dr. Calvin Finch and Mark Peterson. We're inside in the nice, cool AC today.
Cool.
Because it is very hot this week.
Well, yeah,
and it's going to continue to be hot.
The truck said 101. So
it's just going to keep going up. But we have some great sales that we'll talk about throughout the show, and then give a preview and talk about what Calvin wrote in his article this week as well.
Yes, that's because you're listening to us on Saturday.
That's right.
But we're doing it on Wednesday.
Mm-hmm.
And the column is in the Express News on Saturday. And it might be other places because we found out on last week on the article on the vines that it has appeared in a number of newspapers.
All the way up to Houston, correct?
Yeah. And Beaumont. And,
oh, wow.
Yeah. You can tell when you get the you get these emails from folks from different cities, and I have an inclination to say, well, where did you read about this? Mm-hmm. And then they that's where the Beaumont thing came in. I said, that's the first time I've ever heard us being in the Beaumont paper. We get in the Austin American Statesman quite a bit, and in the Houston paper quite a bit. But it's interesting because it's kind of neat to get some different perspectives.
Yeah, so I've mentioned before that I'm on several native plant groups and garden groups across the state. And so it's always interesting in seeing other people's problems. The one I'm most interested in and active in most in is the North Central one, which is the Metroplex. And they have all kinds of problems all the time. Today,
not to mention the rose.
Yeah, especially the rose one. But today I said water.
Well, I started out...
That was the advice I gave.
If you want to get into problems, I started out my article in the Express News with an issue that you and I have talked about several times, including, I think, just last week, about the vine with the beautiful yellow flowers.
Yeah.
And in my neighborhood, you can see it on the top of the trees 2 blocks away, the white, yellow flowers. But I stayed in the article that as beautiful as the flowers are, I don't think that is a plant that I wouldn't wish on anybody.
Yeah, you can hear the disdain and distaste in my voice. I really do not like the cat claw.
Why do what is your?
Yeah, I was waiting for either you or Alex to go. And why is that, Mark? Well, you kind of pointed it out. The cat claw, like grapes, a lot of times will overwhelm the entire tree. It'll cover the top, and then that kind of smothers the tree. Actually, what it's doing is not allowing any light in, so it can provide its own food, photosynthesis. And so it's just smothering the whole tree. And you see it quite often on telephone poles, too. So you're going down the street and you see this telephone pole that's completely covered. Almost invariably, it's cat claw.
It's got several other undesirable characteristics. we talk about our the vine that gets such good pollinator support, coral vine, and how it kind of travels over the trees and buildings and everything like a wave. But the saving grace is that it's cold sensitive.
Yeah, and you don't see it until June, and then November, December, it's gone.
But this cat's claw is not nearly as cold sensitive. It survives, at least the wooden part survives almost every winter. And then it also has a sticky thorn system.
Yeah, it's a rather nasty plant, nasty vine. But I'm sure it was developed and brought to this country, and because it was so pretty, so the flowers were so pretty, and they're very lovely flowers.
I thought it was brought to this country so that it would trip old people like me every place,
or irritate me, give me a sour stomach, if you will.
Yeah.
I was so happy. I was dancing in Alma's Basin, going, the freeze of 21, it's going to kill all the cat claw. No. So.
Now it got the foliage and got some of them, but you were right. It was back. Now one of the things we do to control it, as Mark mentioned, it grows up on the top of trees and just covers them and shades them, and it's a direct threat, and it's a short-term threat too. It doesn't take it long like most of those suffocating vines do. But to control it on the trees, you have to basically cut all those wooden stems coming up from the base, and I swear there's a few tree control companies that make a living on cutting those things off.
Oh, yeah. You just don't cut them. You're going to have to cut a space out of them. 6 inches. 6 inches above it, 6 inches below, and you got to get rid of that. And you always miss one. Yeah. You always miss one, and that's always the problem.
And if you... even when you don't miss them, there always seems to be plenty in reserve. Well, the roots just send up new stems. But gosh, it's amazing. Now I've had some luck on the fences. It makes a mat, very thick, and the active ingredient triclopyr, which is the one we use in cut vine stump killer, and it's also one that we use in the spray.
Yeah.
Do you remember what the spray is?
It's a different formulation and a different concentration, but
I think I have it in the article here. But
so that one works really well, and in fact, you used to use Velpar a little bit, but I don't know if I'd want to use that on the associate Velpar.
Oh, I don't know.
Yeah, I would never use that in association with trees.
I used Remedy.
Oh, Remedy, not Velpar, Remedy.
Yeah.
Remedy, I'm sorry.
And I used Remedy successfully on those fence mats, because if you got to be careful with Remedy and triclopyr, because it does penetrate the wood. But that cat's claw is so tight, and that mat that it makes, that as long as there's not anything, nice live oaks or flowers close to it, you can spray and it just block, and it effectively will take out those whole pads. But it is. You got to be really careful. You got to be alert, and of course you've got to follow the label instructions. So. And you want to review it before you use it. So the most conservative way to try to control it is with the cutting. And then some people will try to tip or put the triclopyr, the cut vine and stump killer, on each of those stems, but you may as well dedicate 3/4 of your life to that.
I was going to say when you I thought about that when you mentioned about taking a whole day to cut it all. I'm like, well, then you got to follow up with the cut something vine, the trichophyre, and well, that's another day. You got 2 whole days on that, and that's just one tree. It's amazing on that. It's always that one Department of Agriculture guy that tried to bring in Bermuda. I wish I could find him. I wish I could go back in time, or Johnson grass. I'm like, no, don't.
Do you know where it is native? At cat vine?
Yeah, dry parts of Brazil.
Really?
Yeah. So certain parts of Brazil that is more dry. So it's not the tropical, but it's that near tropical location. I think Manu was in those areas. So I guess the southeastern and northeastern parts of Brazil.
And now, of course, I know it's that the plant is common and overwhelming in the Dream Hill Estates and in the medical center area. Is it lots of other places in the Central Texas?
Yeah, so the main area is your area in the Almas Basin. If you drive by on 281, you can see certain trees that are totally covered. So it is, and it has expanded into Incarnate Word, the headwaters region, what they call that, the area on the other side of the dam that's going towards Incarnate Word. Yeah, and by the way, if anyone knows exactly where it's located, it's native to, give us a call.
On Sunday. Yes. So cat's claw, does it affect all types of trees, or is it only reaching out for specific ones? Or
it usually attacks the native trees only because native trees have a less prodigious growth habit. So it will go up China berries and it will go on ligustrums, but they tend to be faster. And so it moves beyond the cat claw, whereas our native live oaks and cedar elms is kind of plod along unless there's lots of rain, and then but then the cat claw overwhelms them.
Yeah. You know, it even Arizona cypress that even grows over the top of Arizona cypress.
I have never seen that.
Yeah.
I don't want to ever see that, but
yeah. Well, that's one of the plants that we talked about in the article, and it does indeed have a beautiful flower, but you don't want to plant it for sure on purpose, and if it starts invading your landscape or your neighborhood, it's worth the effort to keep it under control.
Get the neighbors together and have a party and have it kill the cat claw. Not kill the cats, kill the cat claw vine. But that's not the only one. You have a whole bunch of other plants.
We got some that are very positive.
Yeah, you said the title is actually the working title, because I know Express News will probably change it, but it's More Blooming Plants. So last week you had a bunch of blooming plants, and you had some more now. So the next one we could talk about if we're nearing a break.
Yeah, maybe 3 minutes.
Oh, okay. Well,
bring it up a little bit. Let's
just touch on that. It's Aurelia, and we love the Katy dwarf Aurelia. Wonderful plant, shade or semi-shade bed, and it does a fantastic job covering all that. If you wanted a ground cover, now you're going to have a few more. It doesn't spread a whole lot, does it? It doesn't. The Katy Aurelia, it doesn't spread very
dwarf?
fast. Yeah, the dwarf. I don't. No. I've never seen it spread.
No, it spreads enough to fill the space that the bed that you're encouraging it to grow in. but it doesn't jump across the driveway or anything like its big cousin does.
Yeah. So if you had a bed and you're thinking of ground cover, well, just think about that Katie Aurelia. I think it'd be very, very nice.
Yeah, it's got beautiful blooms. Of course, we've always talked about the three different bloom colors.
Mm-hmm.
All three of them are attractive.
And those would be?
The blue, blue purple, and a pink and a white.
Yeah, we can never come to a consensus on the blue one. Some people say it's more blue, and I say it's purple or lavender, or a combination of both.
I agree with you on that color. The other thing that kind of is interesting to me is that quite often we see at nurseries that the pink seems to be the most popular color. I don't think I've ever seen the white and the blue lose popularity contest to the pink. But it's a great plant. It's one of those I always like to mention as a good choice for when your landscape does not have enough sun to support a thick lawn. When you make the decision that I've got shade and that's wonderful, so if we're to cover the ground cover will have to be a shade-tolerant ground cover, and we've got a long list of shade-covered ground covers the shade-tolerant ground covers, including this dwarf Mexican petunia.
And I think it's underutilized. And a lot of the ground covers are lovely texture. The ivies, the Asiatic jasmine. Very few of them have color associated with them. And the Katy dwarf has an excellent color. And like you said, purple, pink if you can get it. I don't really like that, but it's just a wonderful opportunity.
Well, when we bring up that shade-tolerant ground covers, I always like you to mention that fern that Milberger's had on sale a few weeks ago.
So what Calvin is mentioning is kind of a design technique is that you have different heights and different textures.
Layers.
And layers. And so the one that I really like to use is holly fern. And holly fern is big. It's thick. It's a fern, but it's not that
doesn't have blooms.
Yeah, it doesn't have blooms. It's not that woodland fern that you may often think about. Sometimes woodland. Sometimes it's called woodland. Sometimes river fern. But this is thick leaves. And so it's a good starting point. You may want to put that around the tree. You don't put it exactly around the tree, folks. You put it 3 feet away, and then you can use a different texture like liriope or mucky grass, or the Aurelia.
There's 2 other plants that are about the same size as your holly fern that do have flowers. They're not in the same league flowers as the dwarf Mexican petunia, but Turk cap and shrimp plant. They do a pretty good job in the partial shade or shade for covering a lot of territory, and they're about can be 3 feet tall. Great pollinator plants too.
There's another member of the shrimp plant family, Mexican honeysuckle. Have you ever seen that?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
gosh,
the shade, yeah. Well, it's another one we forget.
Yeah.
For often.
And that one, that's as big as the Mutabilis rose.
So I thought about that when you said it. Oh, some of those get really big. Whoa, there's another one that gets really big. So it's a good, and that one blooms later in the cool season. So that's always kind of nice. But shrimp plant is great. I love shrimp plant. You got your choice of the I always say salmon, but you have another name.
It's like rust.
That's
You say
rust is the other one, yeah. So you got the rust one and you got yellow one. And they're very, very nice. But so think of those. Those are taller, and so you want to intermingle the taller ones, or I'm sorry, not necessarily intermingle, but you have a kind of a bed.
The Mexican honeysuckle you mentioned is even more desirable. In my neighborhood, it's out. A lot of people plant it out in the full. It takes full sun, though. It doesn't do well with shade. But the deer don't eat it.
Yeah.
I mean, they'll plant it out there on the roadside, and it blooms up a storm a little later in the season, as Mark mentioned. But deer pass it up. But the hummingbirds and the bees and the butterflies don't. It's a good pollinator.
I saw a great display of it over at the Steve's house down in King William. They use it in a couple of beds, and it was a full sun, but it was in the wintertime. That's what caught my eye. So that you go, oh, look at that. Yeah, what's that blooming all over the place? It has a nice orangey color to it.
All right. Well, we're going to take a break for this segment. We're going to be right back with this pre-recording of Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. We'll be right back. Welcome back to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Again, pre-recording. Studio is down for some electrical maintenance. Whole building is shut down, so giving you an updated show with the sales and topics that Calvin has written in his article for this week. But let's go through some of the sales because
we talked about the most desirable of the Ruellias.
I was going to say, let's talk about its cousin.
You know, the big one. It's surprising me in my neighborhood. Several of the gardeners or homeowners use it as a showy plant. It looks really great in a whiskey barrel size, and it's just kind of a classic shape and straight and disciplined and covered with blooms. But what I didn't see or haven't seen yet is any spread by seed, which was 10 years ago when we planted it by the SAWS office, or was it I can't remember if it was the SAWS office or the extension service office. And
on the advice of counsel, we don't remember which one
blew,
it is.
Yeah, the seed blew across the kitty corner and started growing behind the apartment buildings. You could tell which way the wind went and that way. But this I haven't seen. I don't know if there's I guess I should have checked to see if there was a new selection out there. I haven't heard anything. I'm sure Milberger's would have told us about it.
So what we're talking about is Mexican petunia and
full size,
or the big one, and for years that's what we said is, watch it. It actually dehisces the seed. It shoots it out, and that's what the use that I would always recommend is, in fact, put it in a container, because it does. It looks fabulous in a container, tall, straight, lovely stems, foliage, and then this beautiful flower.
Yeah, big blue. Now I have to admit, though, I have had a gardener that had a nice rose bed, although the Mexican petunia is the only plant you can see in it now. It's about a 8 by 20 foot rose bed, and for a couple of years you would get the rose blooms and the Mexican petunia blooms, and then he would be able to get it under control, Mexican petunia, and then the rose come back. This year, though, all I've seen is the Mexican petunia blooming up a storm and dense. You talk about some of those vines that you can use as hedges. That Mexican petunia, and the regular sized, really makes a hedge. You could plant it against a fence to block. let's see. I guess it doesn't get much more taller though than about 5 feet tall, maybe 6.
No, yeah, I'll go about 5. Yeah. But in a good location, yeah, with plenty of water, it will get big.
Now, the other one that we mentioned in the article is the native that's receding and growing lots of landscapes, and that's only it's kind of an airy plant and only about 3 feet tall, but very nice blue blooms, almost that. Not quite as much purple as that.
Right. So I guess we'll say it's halfway between a dwarf and the Mexican petunia, I think. So nice. You say in the article violet, and I would go along with that.
That's the
name?
Authors.
Okay.
Yeah, official name I have it, the violet. But that's kind of a strange description of its color. But it is, where it grows, one of the things, too, that it seems to grow on almost the same kind of the layers we talked about with the Salvia coccinea, the red. What is the common name?
It either goes by scarlet or tropical.
Yeah. And it is shade tolerant, the red one. We talk about that in this article, too. That's a shade tolerant red perennial, and comes back every year, recedes, but they look especially good together right now. They're outstanding. They benefited by all the rain we had too, and they are not fazed by the heat. They're both just going strong.
The best display of Salvia coccinea that I ever saw was at Mitchell Lake. And one of the back trails, I could look down the entire trail, and underneath all this taller mesquite and huisach, all along that was all these red flowers. And I went, what in the world are those? And I didn't snip them. A lot of you folks out there were thinking that I grabbed a plant. No, I took a photograph, and later on and described it and found it. But it was towards the police academy out in the back. That area. Yeah, you're familiar with that.
You didn't steal any seed there.
No, I didn't steal any seed. I didn't do anything because it's the Audubon Center. You're not supposed to do that kind of stuff.
I know.
I'm leading you to this story there.
I seem to remember them telling me that.
For
sunflower,
for some people, however,
well, you don't. I've dealt with the sunflower and had a patch of annual sunflower for 10 or 11 years, and I keep telling people you want to make sure that you control it. Put the seed heads in a pile, or get some, or plant it in rows from the seed package at your favorite nursery, and then let it grow, and it'll grow very tall, very aggressive, and a favorite. Of the seeds are the favorite of my lesser goldfinches, but also it's a nesting site or egg-laying site for the butterfly. Do you remember what the name of that butterfly is?
Something patch.
Okay, that's it.
Something patch.
Yeah,
that's the official
bordered patch. The bordered patch butterfly, and they're everywhere. Mm-hmm. This is a year for them too, but. I mean that the sunflowers are 10 feet tall.
Mm-hmm.
And no such thing as going and picking them out or taking a hedger. Now, if you've got a little portable battery-operated chainsaw, that works to cut them. But, gosh, I just can't ever imagine that I would be clearing a big area like that. But you can't drive your mower through it. You can't walk through it. But not only the lesser goldfinches, but the cardinals and house finches and all kinds of the birds are really appreciate the sunflowers of being out there. And but what you do now is this time of the year they're maturing, so you can collect a bunch of just the heads, cut them off, and you just place them on the designated area where you want to grow the patch next year. And you don't have to do much for soil prep. You can rough up the soil if you want, but if you put the parts of the stem and the flower heads out there, you'll get the sunflowers come up as long as it's in full sun and the seeds can make soil contact. And then you'll have that patch back and growing next year, at least that patch, and it may take over.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's like, you have to watch it with members of the sunflower family. They'll spread all over the place.
Well, you got lots of choices too.
Yeah.
I always target the annual, and that's the one that grows in a lot of areas, and it's the one that's
In the packet.
one of those that's available in seed packets. Very easy to grow. Doesn't start real early in the spring, but it goes fast. And then we kind of laugh about them taking over the landscape. But it's hard not to laugh too when I look over at Alex and I think of Milton.
Yeah.
Milton naming his sunflowers and falling in love with them, and when we were celebrating the bordered patch butterflies laying all their eggs on there, and the caterpillars aggressively eating all the foliage off.
And he goes, "Oh, look at all those caterpillars!"
I
and
thought he
then
was
within
gonna
12 hours,
create a secret society or something to go after the bordered patch butterflies. But even when they eat all the foliage off of there, it's 3 weeks later there's more foliage back. So they are able to watch out for themselves.
Yeah, a lot of people, they're horrified when they look at their fennel or dill. It's all entirely gone. And don't worry, you have beautiful butterflies, and it will all come back. Don't worry about it. Well, all meant to be eaten by God's creatures, and then they're become
What's on
beautiful.
sale, Alex?
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm leading up to this. Hey,
Or is it
speaking
break
of
time?
wonderful, beautiful creatures, we have wonderful, beautiful creatures on sale.
We sure do. We have a lot of our Texas superstars that we've been having this past few weeks. One for sure is the Vincas, or the periwinkles, and a 4-inch pot on sale, 8 for $12. And that comes in all the colors of pink, white, rose, and red. And again, these are disease and deer resistant.
And if you have not grown that Cora white Vinca, you got to put it out on a container in full sun. It is unbelievable. And can take, it's very drought tolerant. And of course, you could put the containers out on your sidewalk if you wanted to, because the deer don't seem to have any interest in eating them.
So all you folks up in there in Fair Oaks Ranch, the periwinkle Cora series.
Yes. We have another superstar, the Esperanzas, and a number 2. They're regularly $24.99. They're on sale for $16.88. Those are the golden yellow ones.
And they're in, as far as I can know, all of them are in bloom.
Yes, they are.
Even those on sale in the small in those 2-sized containers, which are not small containers. Number 2 and a number 3.
And San Antonio's number 1 plant, blooming right now,
Which is
the Pride of Barbados.
Oh, yes.
It's
Oh,
next on
gosh.
your list.
That is amazing.
It's all around town. Just beautiful plantings.
Yeah, Pride of Barbados. And number 2, they're regularly up to $19.99. They're on sale $16.88.
How do you guys describe that color?
Well, it's not burnt orange. Maybe it's Tennessee orange.
Is it? I mean, it's almost.
Oh
like
no, UTSA
dark,
orange. It's
glow in the dark orange, isn't it?
It's very bright, vibrant.
Let's say it's very, very orange. It's UTSA orange. That's what we'll call it from now on.
Some of them they've been blooming up a storm, but some of them are going to producing pods.
Yeah, right now. So, and you can get plants from those pods. Those seeds are very hard, though. So you're going to have to do some work on either with an acid solution or rough them up somehow. Like what we do for the mountain laurels.
Yeah. What if you did like the Texas mountain laurel, and we harvested the seeds before they got very hardened off or dried out, and did a quick planting? Would they come up, or did they have to go through a stratification kind of natural stratification process?
Let me think. I think they would come up, but I don't know if they would be coming up in that single year. You'd have to wait till the next year. They may cut just a little bit, and then have to go through another.
I was thinking of the patches in my neighborhood and in my yard. I don't think I've ever seen them come up by seed, but they must eventually.
So I've grown.
Before you start, let's take a quick break.
Let me tell this story.
Well, I want to give you more time to tell your story. All right, we'll take a quick break. We'll be right back with our pre-recording of Milberger's Gardening South Texas right here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Welcome back to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Pre-recording today for our Saturday show. I interrupted Mark right before we went to break, so I want to give him his time to tell his story.
Well, it's down on the Carolina Street Gardens. That is most of my neighbors. They have been growing them, Pride of Barbados, in little pots, number ones, but it may take a long time. It may take two years before they're up enough so they can plant them in a bigger pot or in the ground. So it does take a while. So you could grow it from the seed, but it does take a while. So you want a bigger one that's fully formed, come to Milberger's.
Well, I suspect that it's so attractive this year that there'll be a lot of skillful gardeners that'll be exploring that seed. Because we used to think that Texas mountain laurel was almost impossible to grow by seed. But now lots of folks grow it by seed. And, of course, the commercial and wholesale growers have figured out techniques that really let them make a lot of production when all the seed becomes more valuable.
And Calvin's talked about that. They use immature. I don't want to say immature, but before the shell coatings get really hard.
Yeah.
And
adolescent.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay. What is
older teen?
Adolescent.
Adolescent. Maybe.
Preteen.
No, not pre. No. Older teens.
Okay.
But they use mechanical means through a rock tumbler. And I don't know the exact times, so I'm just going to give you the broad outlines. And an acid mixture. Again, I don't know the right components, but that's, again, anything you can do to weaken the shell coat on that. Now, stratification, I think there's some stratification involved, and that's put it in a refrigerator and a paper bag for a period of time.
I have. There's been a number of gardeners that all they've seemed to do is to collect the seed before it gets brown. Before it gets dried out, and then start that process. But of course, then if you have a very productive Texas mountain laurel in your landscape, you'll have seedlings come up all around it too. So if you get them when they're real young, and if you don't have a real rocky soil where it's very difficult to get any of the roots, then if you get them young, put them in a container pretty quickly, that works pretty well too. But boy, once they get any kind of size to them, or if they're in that normal tough soil like in our neighborhood, it's almost impossible to transplant them. And you have a low success ratio. But we've basically conquered it, and there's a lot of options as we described that you can, depending what your soil's like, depending on what you prefer in terms of gardening and use of the plants. But so that is one of the best plants around, and that is you mentioned, Mark, that we or maybe Alex did that. We a couple of articles ago we wrote about it. Another one we mentioned was the Theralis. It's got that same yellow.
In fact, it's been blooming a lot. I've seen it. I mentioned turning onto 281 recently, and it just a whole stand of them in one of the textile plantings. It just caught my eye. I couldn't believe it. So we really haven't talked about Theralis, and it's a great plant. Should be included in my short list of what every San Antonian should plant in their yard. So it's
in my neighborhood, I think if you did a count of the number of yards that had these classic flowers that we talked about, I think the Theralis would be one that was in most yards, and more yards than the others, but they're spread throughout the neighborhood. But again, that's another, the pollinators like it. Less the hummingbirds than the bees and the butterflies. So, and then it's a little more cold tolerant than our or Pride of Barbados for sure, and Esperanza as well, and Firebush for sure.
There is one plant that has, I think it's going to be its inaugural posting on this list. I don't think we've ever had purple fountain grass. There we go. Sorry. Mm-hmm. On this list before.
I don't think we have.
Now, it is a superstar, at least one variety of the superstar, and that's probably the one that we have at the nursery. It was put on a few years ago. Not a lot of people use it because it freezes back.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't. They go, huh? I thought it would stay all along, and it freezes back. But
if you don't make too much of a production out of that, because it is a beautiful plant and all, but you say it freezes back, but all you need to do is dig that out, just get the partial root and stick it. You don't even have to do any kind of formal planting. You just stick it on in a container, and just so it's out of the cold. Doesn't take any watering. It doesn't take much light or anything, and it'll survive. And then you can put it back out.
Yeah.
But it's the cold that it is sensitive to.
And in most years, it will survive in the ground. I mean, it freezes right right down to the ground. I mean, there's no foliage, but I'm not going to say it's going to last there for more than 5 years. I would say that's hoping beyond hope. But 2, maybe 3 years, you can keep it in the ground in most years, in most neighborhoods. So, as the frequent caveat, in most neighborhoods, deer won't eat this plant.
Yeah, I was trying to remember that I haven't planted it for 10 years or so, and I was trying to think of, well, I guess we used it generally in groups, 5 or 7 groups in full sun, and very attractive, yeah.
Yeah, so it's definitely full sun. Hey, and I've talked about dry tropical for around the pool. Mm-hmm. That's an excellent one. It's not going to get into the pool filters. It's not going to get into the pools. It's not going to have a flower, but it is a dark purplish color on the blades, and then it will freeze back in the wintertime.
And it's kind of a disciplined grower, too.
Exactly.
That helps on the pool, too.
Yeah. So you're going to look at maybe 3 feet. What do you think? About 3 feet?
3 feet tall?
At least 3 feet,
Yeah,
that is a nice plant. I was trying to remember. I don't think I ever planted it where the deer would get access to it. I don't know if the deer eat it or not.
I don't know either.
It's not listed online if it is, but we can probably look that up. But the purple fountain grass is on sale in a number 3. It's regularly $24.99. It's on sale for $18.88. And we have a lot more other sales at Milberger's. We'll talk about them at the other side of the news. And then we have a lot more to talk about with Calvin's article and what we can do right now in the hot August heat. But we're going to be right back with Milberger's Gardening South Texas right here on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
We're back with Milberger's Gardening South Texas, live from Milberger's Landscaping and Nursery at 1604 in Bulverde Road. Come out to visit or call us at 210-308-8867. That's 210-308-8867. And now back to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.
Welcome back to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Alex Escobar with Dr. Calvin Finch and Mark Peterson. Again, it's a pre-recording for our Saturday show. Our station is having some electrical maintenance done. Pray and hope that it's the last one for foreseeable future. But we will be back live on Sunday at Milberger's. So please hold your questions and calls for Sunday. But we're here in studio discussing Calvin's article and then a lot of the other sale items that we have. One that I missed is Coleus is on sale. It's in a 4-inch pot, regularly $179, on sale $8 for $12.
Now let's see. Now we'll have Coleus is one of those plants that we use for shade in the summertime. So may last until middle of November, or if it was real mild, might make till Thanksgiving. But a lot of attractive foliage colors.
Oh yes, I sit there when I look in front of, or while I'm in front of them looking at them. There's so many colors. I have a hard decision to make on that. There's one I really like. It's a solid maroon, kind of like your shirt that you're wearing. And with a gold edge to it, and I find that very beautiful. But there's some where it's just multicolored. There's all different colors on the leaves, and that's kind of a beautiful one, kind of a happy one. But the coleus, again, a lot of these plants, they were very, very popular 20 years ago, and they kind of fallen out of favor, and yet they still have really good usage.
Are you including caladium in that?
Yeah, I was. I was thinking. I was trying to think of the other one that's on that row at the store at the nursery.
Yeah, and what of nice variety of colors there and foliage. That's great. You know, as long as we're talking about the summer shade plants, I'm sure that if a lot of folks have planted pentas. They're they're one of the best. They're an all-star pollinator plant, and they are very attractive. White, red, pink, violet blooms, and they can put up with a couple hours of sun. In fact, they bloom better in the shade if you they get a little dose of sun. But what they've been faced with, at least in my neighborhood, they've been faced with a slug and snail issues, which is not uncommon for the shade plants. We talk about the winter shade plants,
particularly about the two we've been talking about, the coleus and the caladiums. So, yeah, that's a big problem.
And another one that is showing a lot of damage, which surprised me a little bit, are begonias. The whoppers kind of outgrow it, but the smaller regular begonias are showing a lot of slug and snail damage. Now, in the old days, we'd use a manufactured slug and snail bait.
Yeah, I think we have at the nursery we have both Sluggo and Sluggo Plus, and the Plus was I think the plus is that it does both snails and slugs. But or I guess Sluggo, so it does the slugs plus the snails. Yeah. And it's a good product, great product. Is there a DIY treatment for it? As I'm looking over at Calvin.
I don't know what that means.
It means I'm referring to the little can or jar and put the stale beer in it.
Yeah, or a little
home remedy.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. And now the problem with what Mark is talking about is that you sink a cup or a jar and fill it half full of beer, and slugs and snails just do a dive bomb in there, and they fill that thing up. You ought to if you've never tried it, just try it sometime. Now the problem with it, it's very effective when you do it in a garden and you do it every 3 feet. But when you got all your plants in containers, which we do a lot of them, like the begonias and the coleus and our pentas, then it's much harder to control with that beer trap, because you have to have so many. Whereas if you have the Sluggo Plus, it's a granule.
You just
put it up and around.
You put it at the base container. and inside the container.
But there are a lot of really. I don't think I've ever seen as much damage on pentas as this year from slugs and snails. The one we used to always talk about was the partner with our cyclamen. What was the one that we didn't have any luck getting this year?
Primula.
I mean, that
was primrose, primula. They love that. And particularly, it's in the cooler months.
Well, they're not alone. I love it, that plant, too. And it's kind of heartbreaking when you get used to relying on a plant. Of course, the minute it's hard to find, or the price goes up or something, it becomes more desirable. It
always happens.
I need and that's one of the great blessings of this sales program that Milberger has had for a couple of years, and is trying to get a reasonable price for some of the most desirable plants. They're not things that people pass up. They're things that people would be make a first choice of, like the Vincas and all the other ones that for a while the zinnias were on sale, and your ferns and everything you can think of. But so consider that if you're seeing. I know when the foliage gets eaten by the slugs and snails, that the blooms you get less blooms, and we're getting a lot of questions from gardeners that don't recognize the slugs and snails, because you rarely see the slugs and snails unless you get up in the middle of the night.
Unless you get up at 3:00 in the morning.
Yeah. Well, don't do what I did one time.
Step on that?
No, I invited the neighbor kids over to see the slugs and snails in action, chewing away on the plants. And I was chastised by their mother, who said that they had nightmares for 2 nights in a row and may not go back to gardening for several years after seeing their beloved plants and my plants get eaten by the slugs and snails. But they are out there, and they're prevalent. So get that bait, and that check the bait at least. I don't know if the Sluggo Plus includes some manufactured chemical or not, but the at least one of the Sluggo formulas, I think, is organic, isn't it? Or am I wrong?
No. The one of them is like ferrous iron and an iron component, something. I don't know. Well, it's something I have to look up for Sunday.
But you've had good luck with it?
Oh yeah. That's good. It's a fairly efficient program or product.
I know there's a lot of versions of
correct
Sluggo.
So Sluggo's been trademarked, but there are a lot of other Sluggo-like products out there. You know what?
What's that?
We've been talking about a lot of shade-tolerant plant.
And I was going to ask you, because you brought up the coleus kind of grew out of popularity for a while. What kind of caused that change? And
it's just taste.
Okay.
Just taste. For the, I can go in certain neighborhoods and go and see when somebody had a lot of bur oaks, or that was a thing. And I can go in certain neighborhoods and certain small municipalities and go, yeah. So I can go down the street and go, there's a bur oak, there's a bur oak, there's a bur oak, there's a bur oak. So they're planted all in the front. And then they go out of favor. I'm trying to think of something else. We were talking about that the other day on another show, that's kind of gone out of favor. And then all of a sudden, well, that was a wonderful plant.
So
why did it go out of favor?
Coming back into style.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's just a style thing. But what I was going to mention was that there's another plant that Calvin and I love, and we grow it mainly in the understory, in the shade, but it doesn't have to be. And that's the Sandaqua viburnum. That's on sale. What's it on sale?
It sure is. The Sandaqua viburnum. It's regularly $24.99. It's on sale for $18.88. That grows up to 6 to 12 feet tall.
Yeah, it'll be 12-ish. 12. It's more like 8 to 12.
Well, I always got a kick out of it. I think in that sales item it said it was like 6 to 12 feet. And
right.
I went, huh?
I was trying to remember mine. I lost mine in the freeze. I don't know if it was 21 or 22, 2021. But yeah, very nice, evergreen. Deer did not eat it, and so it made a nice
a flower in the spring,
bloom.
a white flower and fruit later on. That's attracted to wildlife.
And the birds ate the fruit. The fruit was gone quickly, but the foliage is attractive, and it made a nice. I think you could make a nice display, though, like you described, with the very different kinds of plants, with that species.
So I always encourage, a lot of people said, "Oh, what's this plant I can have for a hedge?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't recommend a single plant." So we love our viburnums and our hollies, and then there's different sizes. Yopons, yopon is a holly, but you can do some dwarf hollies and some of the smaller viburnums. Another one is a very famous one that Calvin and I are familiar with, Spring Bouquet, and you can find that one. Some of the nurseries have it. We at Milberger's did have it. They can always order it again. But the concept is large plants intermingled with different species and different sizes. And that is sustainable. If you just had one hedge, like a lot of people have xylosma, and we have xylosma, and it's a great hedge, but in 21, all the xylosma, I don't say they froze back. They didn't die.
Took it on the chin.
They took it on the chin really hard, and it's only recently I've seen a lot of clients that have their xylosma has returned to the former glory. So if you had other species that were more adaptable and more resistant to these freezes or drought or disease, then you could have the plants continue on. And so it would be sustainable. Some may take it on the chin, but you'd always have these others. Just my thoughts.
Well, when do we have is there a break coming up?
In about a minute or two, yeah. In about a minute or two.
Okay, because I think one of the things that we want to talk about too, and which is covered in the article, was the lantanas. It's a kind of an interesting discussion, and they're blooming. Another plant that's blooming up a storm. Both the chimera and the horrida. One is a naturalized, and the other is a native. It's always a debate on which is the pink one and which is the orange one. But they both they quite often get planted every other plant, and they make a nice mound, sometimes as high as 3.5 feet tall, but covered with blooms right now. And deer don't eat them, but the pollinators love them. If you go through my neighborhood and walk down the road, and you can see 12 or 13 different varieties of butterflies on there. Mostly the small butterflies, or the whites and the sulfurs. But gosh, just loaded with them. It's a great place to use that brochure that they got there at Milberger's. That one with what is that, Mark? 60 different the butterflies of Central Texas.
So the laminated folder that we've been talking about the last couple of weeks, it has 60 different butterflies, and it's handy. It is very handy. It opens up, or you can fold it into a nice, easy pocket. Pocket brochure. And
or briefcase brochure.
Or briefcase brochure. Yeah, Calvin has taken the last one. However, the store has committed to restocking.
Yeah, we'll talk about that in a bit. We're going to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Welcome back to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Again, a pre-recording for our Saturday show. We'll be back live on Sunday at Milberger's, so if you have any calls or questions that are coming up today, please leave them for Sunday.
Well, we were going to talk about the lantanas.
Yes.
And if you were around 100 years ago, much like Calvin, the Texas ranchers wanted every lantana killed. In fact, the scientific name for the native lantana is horrida or horrida. But people have changed a little bit. You want to explain the difference, or?
Well, I was just going to mention too that it's not just in the North America that. If you go, like South Africa, it's just it's growing everywhere, taking over in South Africa, and it's a plant that nobody appreciates anymore. But right now in the Central Texas area, it's very attractive, and nice that 3-foot mound covered with the blooms, deer-proof, and the pollen. Just as we mentioned, the pollinators are covering it. Easy to plant, and Milberger's. Of course, has usually on sale, but I don't know that they're on sale now.
The lantanas, no.
Lots of choice, lots of plants that are available.
So if you ever come to the porch and see us, they're on our right or on our left. You're right, coming up, and there's a nice selection of them, which a little bit gets into the selections itself. So I was always taught by the native plant people that they call it ham and eggs. So
Chimera or
so that is a hybrid. Chimera is a lantana out of the Caribbean. And it has hybridized naturally, and some of the the nursery people have hybridized it as well. And it's out there, the yellow and the tan. Is that right? Yellow and tan. It's ham. Whatever ham is the color. Whatever its color is. And some folks, native plant people, are really, really, really against it. But some of the varieties that the botanists and nursery people have come up with are very beautiful. Now, I've mentioned Dallas Red. Dallas Red is actually a cross between the native, which is kind of an orangey red, orangey yellow, and they selected for the red, and so we've had those available at Milberger's, and they have great names. Really Red, Chili Red. I can't remember but anyway, Simply Red.
That's one of the running jokes is that
Simply Red.
What's the new name of the new hybrid that's out there?
Yeah. So, it's a new hybrid, but there's great selections out there. You can see them in some of the ones that have escaped and naturalized. I think they're beautiful. The butterflies don't seem to care, butterflies and bees. But try to limit, I guess the big message, try to limit the yellow and tan ones as much as possible. And if you have any native plant friends, that they would love that.
Now, the other one that we mentioned in the article is the New Gold.
Yeah.
and that is kind of a spreading one, and that's got some desirable characteristics. Of course, it's drought tolerant, like all the lantanas. Blooms can take the heat, and blooms in the middle of the summer. It does have one insect pest that we have a problem with, and lace bugs. Isn't that lace bugs?
I'm knocking wood in the studio because we haven't seen it for a while.
That's right. We didn't see it this year so far.
I haven't seen it in the last 3 or 4 years, and I'm knocking wood, and hopefully I don't see it again. Now, it will devastate that new gold lantana. So that new gold, it'll attack the leaves, and it'll make everything almost transparent. It'll suck every ounce, every gram of the chlorophyll out of those leaves, and it will leave them crispy and
won't
transparent.
Kill them.
No, and here's the good point. So you simply mow them down and collect all the clippings and dispose of them, and the lantana will come back. Another good thing about the new gold lantana, supposedly the flowers are all sterile. And so they won't produce seed, and there's limited possibility of it spreading off-site. And so that's another. So if you're going to use lantana, and I heartily encourage you to, particularly the hottest, driest spot that you have in your landscape, try the new gold. If you like yellow, some people don't like yellow. That's fine. Try those.
It's a little bit of almost a gold yellow, so it doesn't always go along with it.
Yeah. That's what I said. Is I don't have a problem. I think it's very attractive. And then you mix it up with other plants that maybe a little gray, maybe a little red. Yellow seems to go well with orange and red, so mix it up well on the color wheel. Look, it tends to look very nice.
Well, Alex, are there any other sale items we need to mention before we...
We have plenty. We have knockout and drift roses are on sale. And at number 3, they're regularly $34.99. They're on sale for $29.99. And we've got those. What's that?
Again, the interior plants are on sale.
Yes, interior plants, they are 15% off. That's all interior plants. So that's 15.
All interior plants. Mm-hmm. And so if I go walking into the greenhouse and I just pick up a plant and it'll be 15% off?
It should be from what
even our favorite Phalaenopsis orchids.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Gosh, they're
even the bigger ones, maybe like a ponytail palm.
Maybe. You have to go to Milberger's and find out.
A lovely Dracaena, and if you've ever seen the Dracaena, the dragon plants, they're usually in pots, and they're very drought resistant. And they come in different shapes and colors.
You know what we do have to mention, too, before we go? We have to mention that the tomatoes, you want to get those tomatoes planted. And what a barrage of articles if you get the San Antonio Men's Garden Club newsletter. My article talked about tomatoes and getting them planted, and then we had 2 other gardeners. One of them was Charles Bartlett that talked about growing tomatoes and what steps you to take and techniques and strategies. And then there was one other gardener that also obviously has a long history of growing tomatoes. Right. So not only you want to get that men's garden club. Of course, we're always encouraging folks to participate in the men's garden club, whether you're men or women, because half the membership is women, and that's it's been for years a dominant group of volunteers and gardeners and environmentally active folks. And if you want to get access to get work with those kind of people and get access to the projects and lectures and everything you may want to participate in the Men's Garden Club. You may want to look at it. See if you can get access to that newsletter this time, especially if you're interested in tomatoes, because that's a great discussion with all those gardeners talking about how we need to deal with, if we want to be successful in this fall on tomatoes. And they're including some advocates, as Mark was faced with some of his gardener contacts, that some folks say, why are we pulling those spring plants when they're looking so good still?
Particularly the indeterminate. And that's why we advocate for determinate, because they will have produced their fruit and they're going to stop growing, whereas the indeterminate will continue to grow
for the next 3-4 years. Huh?
No. So a longtime listener today was at a house looking at the trees, and I looked down in his garage, and he had like 6 or 7 different tomato plants. And I went, just wait a week or so, and I like to put them in the ground around the first or second week in August. And he goes, I know, I've been listening to you on K-Loop. And I said, well, make sure that you bought them. I like to see that you bought them under our advice. Come and get them. I like to wait a while. Calvin likes to put them in the ground or pot them up. These were potted up.
Mine are in the ground now.
Okay. These were potted up, ready to go in the ground. So anyway, I said, wow, thanks for listening. And he goes, oh, I always listen.
And among those, at least last time we checked, there was Tycoon, Celebrities, like Ruby Crush, BHN 968s.
There's about 2 tables full of them.
Well, I was going to swing by today when we're recording this and see if they had another order. And it sounds like they did, but I'm not going to guarantee. But last week, there were still all the ones we recommend on the tables.
That's right. So don't make the mistake that we have made in past years. Other gardeners.
We speak from experience.
We'll just wait another week before we get all our tomatoes, so we're ready for them. And then the next thing, of course, everybody is ready for them. Mm-hmm. And if your spring tomatoes have spider mites, pull those out of the ground and put them in the garbage sack and send them off to the garbage dump. If they, you've got two choices. If they don't have spider mites, you can do like some gardeners are doing, is just saying, well, we'll just keep letting them grow in the fall, and or the other choice is you can pull them and put them in the compost pile and then plant the new varieties, the determinate types, and that are going to be produce fruit faster. And the research indicates, and somebody can dispute this if they've got some evidence, that your production in terms of quality and quantity is generally greater if you plant 2 crops in the Central Texas area, and one starting now, rather than have an indeterminate like you're in Michigan or Minnesota. So you can run an experiment if you got some that are, let them stay in the ground from the spring, but also you might want to try some of those determinate or semi-determinate and see which one does best for you and which one produces the most fruit. And don't be too limited in fertilization. They're growing machines, and they really utilize the fertilizers that's available.
Yeah, and we commonly call it a heavy feeder, and that's what they are. So always have a little extra fertilizer on hand, because that's what we want to do.
And they work well in containers or work well in the garden.
Yeah.
but use something like Osmocote in the containers and 1959 in the
beds
in the garden.
When it comes to prepping and watering for the fall tomatoes, how often would you recommend them to water?
Well, with this 100-degree heat and freshly planted plants, I water them every day for a while. Mm-hmm. So till you get you can tell when they've taken root and
right.
they're in charge, and then you may just you can make a little bit of a we say don't create the mounds
right.
much in the trees anymore, but it works pretty well on the tomatoes to kind of have compost and soil mixed in mounds so that you can put the water right in the close to the plant and more efficient that way. Mark, you got any other advice?
No, I was going to say a lot of people like to go to drip. Right now, we're stage 2 on saws, and that still means drip is Fridays and Mondays. I have to look to see if vegetables get a dispensation. Otherwise, you'd use drip Fridays and Mondays, and then still have to water on Wednesdays by hand. So definitely your garden is you're going to have initially a heavy load. So you may want it two or three times
when
by
it's
hand.
100 degrees out.
Yeah.
Even we talk about tomatoes being hot weather plants, but
initially
100 degrees. It's pretty serious.
Initially, you got to get that water.
And the okra and the peppers are still going pretty strong, and
absolutely.
The Mexican squash is going strong, still in the garden.
They sure are.
And next week, our article. Well, no, 2 weeks from now, our article is probably going to be about the winter garden.
All right. Well, it sounds exciting. Well, we're going to take one last break for today. We're going to be back with our pre-recording of Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Welcome back to Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer. Pre-recording today as the building where our studio is located. Electricity will be turned off. CPS is doing yet again some more maintenance, so this should be the last pre-recording for a while. But we'll be live back tomorrow on Sunday at Milberger's, so any questions you may have, call us or meet us at Milberger's. There's a lot of great sales going on, especially for Calvin. You talked about cross vines and different vines in your article past few weeks. Tangerine Beauty Cross Vine is on sale in a number 5, regularly $29.99. It's on sale for $24.88.
Yeah, that's one of the most the best vines. I think is unbelievable. I mean, it makes a nice hedge and covered with blooms in the spring. It can be the normal one is kind of a rust colored, but that
the Tangerine Beauty is outstanding, and it will cover it, but it's not excessively heavy like some of our other ones we recommend.
Now you'll get some blooms later in the season too. Then on the other, I think the second one that is the most desirable is the butterfly vine. Now, cross vine is native, but the butterfly vine is an exotic. But I think it's one of the one that the deer don't eat. Now, of course, the jessamine and the jasmine, the deer don't eat either. But so those are good choices, and then they're evergreen. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty desirable. But the butterfly vine has got the yellow flowers and covers an arbor and will cover a portion of a fence. And the seeds look just like they're green, but they look just like a butterfly, a big, silver dollar size butterfly. And if you want to see one in action there's one at the Certified Butterfly Garden at Milberger's Butterfly Vine, and then we usually have them there for sale. I don't know if we have any left, Mark. Do we on the
at Milberger's? I don't know.
We got last time we checked, we had Crossvine.
Yes, we did.
Oh, of course, it's on sale.
It's on sale, so we have to have it.
Yes.
But what was I going to say in regards to that? Oh, do you think it's evergreen? I do. The Crossvine, but it's not entirely evergreen.
Yeah, I mean, I think technically it's evergreen if the weather cooperates. But
yeah, there you go. In most shears, in most neighborhoods.
Yeah, and of course, if you want those two that we mentioned, the Carolina jessamine and
Confederate jasmine,
yeah, Confederate jasmine, star jasmine. There's a lot of choices. They've got a yellow or white flower. Yellow. I think the Carolina jasmine is the yellow flower, and then the others have white. Very strong, potent fragrance, and the evergreen, and they're kind of lean, but they'll lean and make a hedge.
Right.
As you kind of help them make sure they're not going to. The wind blows them over. I've had that experience, but they're great. They're a great choice, and there's a number of them at Milberger's right now. I don't know that the jasmine are on sale, but there are plants available, and they are generally evergreen, and the deer do not eat them.
We have one more plant that's on sale. It's the Vitex. We've talked about it a lot. It's a number 3 and number 5 are on sale. They're 20% off.
Gosh, yeah, the Vitex is a great plant.
In fact, I think it's starting to rebloom. I think the one at the nursery is starting to put out blooms again.
When we left Sunday, I noticed that as well.
So, yes, and so it blooms, and then it settles back for a while, and then starts blooming again.
And the last two items we have for sale is the Coco Loco. It's a 2 cubic feet bag, regularly $29.99. It's on sale for $22.88.
And that's frequently used in place in lieu of the sphagnum moss in a pot or a hanging basket.
Mm-hmm.
So if you have a hanging basket or a container that you have used sphagnum in the past, that Coco Loco is good replacement.
Let's remind everybody too to keep their lawn mowed, and then
not too short though, correct?
No, yeah, the recommended height is best, but I'm more worried about if you want to control the winter weeds. We recommend you apply a pre-emergent, barricade or dimension are two good choices. Review if you've had trouble with the bed straw and thistles and all those winter weeds. There's a list of 12 or 14 of them. You want to get that pre-emergent down. I recommend get it down before September 1st. Mark,
I'd say before September 15th.
Yeah.
So I'm a little later on that.
So, and that well, I was trying to think of one of the one that the bed straw is an obvious one.
Yeah.
But there's another one that comes later in the winter that the little stickers stick to.
Yeah. So the tick seed, or beggar's lay.
Beggar's lice. That's the one that
I always have to go through my brain and figure it out. So yeah. So I really dislike that one, but
so does every dog and cat in the world.
The bed straw is kind of fun because we could, or bindweed. We could get it up in a big ball and then get rid of it.
But, yeah, you can have it covering 40 by 40 patch, and then you get your rake out and start raking at it, and it fills one garbage sack is all, because it gets so tight and you can pack it together on bed straw. But they will cover a lot of territory, and that's one of the reasons you want to. One of the best strategies is just to keep that lawn mowed during the winter. Your regular once a week mowing. That's a good job, and winter lawns look good even when there are those winter weeds in there, as long as you keep them mowed.
And then the last item we have listed, and definitely needed, especially with this heat, is garden hats. All garden hats are 10% off.
Highly encourage everyone to be wearing a hat outside. Several friends have had cancer, so skin cancer. So strongly recommend everybody to apply their
Sunscreen.
Sunscreen, and wear a hat. I have my hat. I wear.
I'll have to go look.
I've never seen your hat. Where's your hat?
My hat's in the car.
In this car or in the car?
That doesn't count as wearing it, though, does it?
I didn't wear it into
he
the
just
building.
carries it.
Okay.
I'll have to see. Most hats don't fit my head, so I need to find a large size.
So many ways to go on this, folks. So many ways.
Yeah, and then one of the topics, as we mentioned in the future, is going to be is the winter vegetable garden. It's almost time to prepare the soil and plant our back to cauliflower and carrots and radishes and all those wonderful plants.
Yeah, I have September 1st is usually I start thinking about it.
Yeah,
and strongly thinking about it.
September and October are kind of the key months, although we'll kind of wait a little later on our spinach. But
yeah, I was going to say is I have a list for September, and then I have another list for October, and another list for November. So getting ready, all the plants that are ready to go. And, of course, we'll have many transplants here at Milberger's for everyone. And we'll be talking about that when we arrive. So.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
What else do we have? I said, I guess what else? You kind of led us in this direction. What else should we be doing in the heat of summer other than wearing our hats? Well, we talked about the pre-emergence. And the most important thing, and since we haven't had any more rain, is watering. And I just have to say, I've seen so many people out there with a gun, the nozzle, on the end of the hose, and it's like they hate their lawn and their plants. They have it on full stream, and they're just beating it down on the grass. I'm like, folks, come on.
Well, you
have gentle rain. You need to have it on a nozzle gently.
There's even I'm bothered by that same picture, because not only do we see that, we see it in the social network and everything, or in some of the publications that we generally think of being pretty knowledgeable on gardening and environmental issues, but then they're showing, here's an article describing how to take care of your plants, and there they are squirting a shrub with a hose. And why are they doing that?
Yeah. Okay, I'll plug for Milberger's one more time. We have a whole wall full of wonderful nozzles. And in the business, we call, there's certain nozzles we call 400s, and other ones 800s, so very nice ones. But anyway, they're all available. And just think of it: you want to put nice rain down on your beds or in your containers.
You want that to be able to, depending on the soil you want the water to be able to penetrate.
Penetrate is the word. We actually, in the scientific world, we want it to infiltrate and percolate. Infiltrate going into the soil. Percolation is movement through the soil. So that's what we really want, and we want nice, even flow. Plants don't need to be dumped on, flooded, but they do need to be watered, and infrequent and deep is always preferable for established plants. Frequent and light is always preferable for new plants.
So get access to the articles we've been talking about.
Yes.
And then give us a call tomorrow.
Absolutely.
If you got other questions.
We look forward to it. Thank you for listening. We'll be live at Milberger's on Sunday. Alex Escobar, Dr. Calvin Finch, and Mark Peterson. We'll see you tomorrow with Milberger's Gardening South Texas on 9:30 a.m. The Answer.